The dodge and burn tools got a little bit of a feature upgrade here inside of CS4. So let's go select the dodge tool first, and you're going to see a protect tones setting up here at the top. All right. So when this option is on, we get a lot better results. I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to make a copy of my background layer. Just press Command J on the Mac or Control J on a PC. And we're going to work on this top copy because I want to be able to compare and contrast the results here. So I've turned protect tones off, which means that we're now getting, for better or worse, we're now getting the old dodge tool. And what I'm going to do here is just come over here, and I'm just going to start to paint on maybe the mountains over on the right hand side. Just, you dodge something to kind of brighten it up a little bit, maybe draw a little bit more attention to it. All right, come over here in the water, and it's just very blotchy. And overall, to me, it doesn't look like we've brightened it. It looks like we've taken a low opacity white paintbrush and painted over it. It looks dull. We don't have any of the contrast and the tones and the color that we had in the before version, which is in that layer underneath. Okay, well, now let's click on the background layer, keep the top layer off, turn on protect tones, and now I'm going to do the same thing, and you can almost immediately see the results. Okay, take a look at that and compare that. This is before, that's after. All right, so we still have the same tones, we still have the same colors, it just looks a little bit brighter, and it doesn't look dull. And then this is the older way without protect tones turned on. So the difference is actually pretty staggering. So for me, the dodge tool gets the biggest enhancement. The burn tool, which is kind of the opposite, the burn tool is going to darken things. If we turn protect tones off, and let's go work on this top layer again, because this is the layer that we're demonstrating as the old way. This one's not quite as bad. All right, so it looks okay. Come up here, maybe darken up the clouds and the sky a little bit in some areas. I don't think this one is quite as bad. If I had any one complaint, it's just a little bit heavy-handed, but I don't think it's necessarily bad. Okay, so this is the top layer. We can turn it off, and you can see before and then after, and it's darkened, and for the most part it's kept the colors and the tones, and it's just made things a little bit darker. I think it is a little heavy-handed, and I think it makes things, the burn tool, it actually makes things look burned a little bit. It makes them look a little bit red, if you ask me. But let's go ahead and turn this one off, click on the background layer, and turn protect tones on, and now I'm going to paint. And I think I just get more of an even result when I use the protect tones feature. All right. Make my brush a little bit smaller. I'm just hitting the left bracket key to do that. And come over there. So let's take a look. This is the older way, and this is the newer way. So it's just a little bit, again, I think heavy-handed is a good way to think of it. The older way, it was a little bit more heavy-handed, a little bit stronger. The newer way is just a little more subtle, where I can build the effect up. If I want to make it darker, well, then I can paint over it again. Okay, with the older way, I had to drop the exposure way down and take this exposure setting really too far down, and it was just a lot more work. Now, the other thing is grouped in with these tools is the sponge tool. We got a little bit of a feature upgrade here. It's got a vibrance setting, so if you turn that on, remember what vibrance does? It tends to keep the colors that are saturated enough. It leaves those alone, and it tends to saturate the colors that might need it a little bit more. Not really a tool that a lot of people used before, but I think with this vibrance setting, it becomes a tool we can kind of turn to a little bit more. As I click on here, just start to paint, you'll just see we're just kind of bringing a little bit of color into some of these areas that we paint on here. And you can do this with adjustment layers and the masks on the adjustment layer, but you know what? If you can do it with the sponge tool, it's actually kind of easy. You just take one tool and you just paint over these things, and you can selectively kind of boost the color in those areas. So while the tools themselves aren't necessarily new inside of CS4, there's a setting with each one of those tools that's new, and in the end, I think that setting helps those tools act a little bit more like we would expect them to act.